Wait, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Damn, I can't hear you. Oh, okay, I can hear you. Okay. So I had a shit show with my mic. So I have to go this way.
Oh, yeah. Um, I was going to
And
say something.
hopefully tomorrow I'm not doing all this.
I logged in an hour ago and I was like, "Where's Ellen?" And then I realized because we sprung forward on Sunday, but I guess obviously you did it. And so now instead of 7 hours, it's 6 hours.
Oh no, I'm so sorry.
That's not your fault. I'm glad I double checked. I Googled. I was like, "What time is it in South Africa?"
Yeah. Oh, I totally forgot, but I did see everyone's funny tweets about losing an hour. Losing an hour? Yeah, losing an hour. But I didn't, put it together that it would mess this up.
It didn't mess it up. I just had to adjust my timing. That's all.
Well, thank you for doing that.
Of course, of course. This was a really interesting episode.
It was, and there was a lot of discourse about how interesting it was over the
Mm-hmm.
internet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm ready to talk about it. I liked it, but I'm ready to
I
talk
did
about it.
too. I understand why people would maybe call it a filler episode.
Mm-hmm.
I think that it was more oriented in kind of filling in some of the gaps, and it's definitely
Yeah,
setting us up to have like two solid ending episodes for the season.
I agree. I feel like it was a context episode, you know?
That's
Yeah.
a great way to call it.
Yeah.
All right, well then let's get into it, and I'm going to start off with our fun facts too. So I'm excited.
Okay. It's you leading, right?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Welcome to the Are You Watching This podcast, the podcast that talks about shows you should be watching. I am Chelsea F,
And
and I think Ellen and I are chums.
That's a good one. And I'm Ellen E, and I had to Google so many words, the definitions of so many words from this episode. So that just shows how smart I am.
Ooh, I'm curious what those words are. Hopefully, maybe when we come across them, you'll tell me which ones.
Definitely will, because I have them written down. So yeah.
So this week on our SRE Severance Recap Experience, we're going to talk about Severance Season 2, Episode 8, which is Sweet Vitriol. And I want to start there with some fun facts about the title, I guess, or what I learned and the journey I took to get there.
Okay.
So do you know what vitriol means?
Okay, I'm gonna say no because I don't want to look like a dummy, like I've been looking privately.
What
So,
what would you like? What does it make you think of when you hear that word?
I want to say anger. Is that the right word? Not like a vitriol, like a. It's like an. I don't know. I don't know. I don't
No,
know.
no, but that's exactly what I was thinking of, right? Because it's a harsh or caustic language or criticism that is intended to offend or hurt.
Okay.
So, but then when I thought about the episode and it being called Sweet Vitriol, I was like, I don't know how much that really applies to the episode, right?
Harsh and what intended to hurt? What was that?
Harsh or caustic language or criticism.
Intended to hurt? Yeah. Yeah. I could see it. I could see it.
I mean, I did a little bit, but I just was like, maybe there's another meaning for vitriol. Because again, I Googled it because I wasn't sure if I was thinking of the right definition.
Right.
And so that's where I got the harsher caustic language or criticism.
Mm.
But it also is a general term for a class of chemical compounds that are sulfates of certain metals. So, like copper sulfate, iron sulfate, and zinc sulfate.
Okay, that I would not have guessed.
And I didn't know that either, even though I've studied chemistry. I was a chemist. I've never heard it in that context.
Yeah,
But I do know what ether is because that very much is what the episode focuses around.
yeah,
And so I was like, okay, let me Google or like the official definition of an ether, which is a class of organic compounds with an oxygen atom bound to two carbon atoms.
okay.
Okay. Do you know or what it means to have an organic compound?
God, Chelsea, you're gonna make me look real bad in front of the listeners. But no, okay, am I smarter than a fifth grader? No. Explain it to me.
N- No, I kind of assume that you did. I don't think most people do, and I didn't
Yeah,
until I studied chemistry. So when you talk about like organic chemistry or an organic compound, it is just a compound that contains carbon.
okay,
So,
okay.
so then I was just thinking, I was like, what are there some other names for diethyl ether, which I'm assuming is what they're huffing or what Lumon was making,
Yes.
and it's a
Yeah.
general aesthetic, and the other names for it are sweet oil of vitriol and vitrolic ether.
Whoa. Look at
Yeah,
that. Full
yeah,
circle.
and but then I was like, the problem is that ether in itself, because it's just a compound with carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen, is not vitriol because it doesn't have a sulfate in it. So I was
Yeah.
like, how do we even get to this name? And I looked it up. So sweet oil of vitriol is called that because it's made by distilling a mixture of ethanol and sulfuric acid, which sulfuric acid is called oil of vitriol.
Okay. Got you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
So that to me makes more sense as a title or like kind of having double meanings.
Yeah, I can see that. I like the double meaning of it all. Now, okay, we can talk about it when we get to the scene of doing the huffing and puffing of the drugs
Okay.
some more, but I have follow-up
Okay.
questions.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So we'll just get into the first scene, which we didn't have a lot of scenes in this episode.
No, we didn't. It was very like shot heavy, like director, image. Yeah, I liked it.
Yeah. So we open up with just this beautiful cinematography of this frozen ocean. There's icebergs in it. And
Yeah.
we see Miss Cobell's car driving. But
Yeah.
so I saw, and I wrote down that she's leaving Salt's Neck because doesn't the sign say like thanks for visiting Salt's Neck as she's driving?
Oh, I saw that she was entering Salt Snack. I just saw Salt Snack. I didn't see a thanks for visiting.
Oh, I guess if it did say thanks for visiting though, and she's driving the opposite direction, then that means she's headed into it.
Yeah. Was
Okay.
it like a back shot? I don't. Yeah, I can't.
Yeah.
Okay.
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 So so then I guess we get a shot of a harbor town, which now I'm assuming is Salt's Neck. That's very dilapidated. It's aged and not maintained.
Yes, agreed.
And then we just get the title. We have no title sequence and no other scenes.
No, we don't. And I also feel like we've had that once already this season. Am I wrong to think
Mm-hmm.
that? Yeah. Which I'm very curious. I wonder if there's a pattern as to when it's just like a title card and like a title sequence. But
Yeah, I don't remember what episode it was. I'd have to look back through my notebook, but
yeah, neither. But I
it
will
is
do that.
interesting.
Yeah. Especially because it wasn't like a long episode, so it wasn't to kill time. I mean, to shorten the time, you know?
Mm-hmm. 100%. So after the title card, I guess, because it's not the opener, we see Miss Cobell brushing her teeth outside her car, and she notices a man huffing ether, which we kind of have to put that together. I knew that's what he was doing, and I can explain why, but we
We need
find
you to
out that she's
explain why. Hold on, hold on. How did you know?
Well, one, I know that ether is like something that people will huff and that it's like a general anesthetic.
I
But
did not know
also,
this.
you remember I was telling you about the time I took a megabus down to Atlanta?
Yes.
Well, there was another time I was on a megabus and the people that were sitting next to me were huffing ether the whole entire time.
What?
Yes.
That's crazy. I mean, the Megabus is crazy and it was crazy in itself, but that's crazy. I don't think I've ever come across anyone huffing and puffing either. What? Okay. Would you,
It is, I mean,
not to make it racially divided, but would you say it's white people, working class maybe? Or not working class, but like blue collar maybe?
maybe, or I mean, I definitely would say it could be a white thing. And I think it's more of like a white younger, usually age, like, because you can,
Okay.
ethers can be found in different forms. And so I'm sure a kid would find it and be like, let's huff this.
Yeah. The glories of youth. Okay, cool.
Well, and there's also, when I Googled it, there's a comic of Curious George huffing ether.
What? That's
Yeah, you should go look
terrible.
at it. No, it's actually like it's kind of talking about the dangers of it, or like he comes across of it, sniffs it, and then feels funny, and so
That's
it's kind of
funny.
like
Don't
don't
do
huff
drugs.
ether. Yeah.
Okay. That's hilarious.
Uh. So so now we find out too that Miss Cobell is a litter bug because she throws her water bottle on the ground behind her, which was
Yes.
so offensive.
Can I say something? Sorry. This, since this is our podcast and we can talk about whatever, I feel the need to say that I hate, it makes me gag watching people brush their teeth. I don't know when, as a society, we thought that was like a public display of a thing to do. It's gross.
I have never heard anybody say that ever.
Really?
Uh, do you know Do you know other people that feel that way?
I don't, but I feel like people do. I really feel like it's not just me. I just don't think it's talked about. So I did want to bring it up. I hate scenes of you see the foam and it's just gross. It's I mean, what they're doing is hygienic, cool, I get it, but making everyone view it and like be a part of it, it's gross. It's gross. It's kind of like if we were like sharing it. It's just gross. I don't want to see all that. So that's all I'll say.
Interesting. Yeah, I think when we release this episode, we should put a little poll on Instagram and see what people
Who,
think too. If that is
yeah,
also something, yeah.
I agree because it generally makes me gag. It's gotten better as I've gotten older because I've seen it so many times, but I hate it. So I will put a poll up to see.
That's so funny. That is so funny.
Yeah. Okay, I've said my piece.
While, or I guess it's after she's done brushing her teeth, she sees her phone vibrating in the passenger seat, and it is Devin Scout.
Yeah,
At this point, I was not questioning, but I was confused on what the timeline was. Like, was this happening at the same time Mark was going through the reintegration process? Is it after? Which we get
yeah,
the answer to later, but it was kind of confusing for the first
I agree with you.
half
I
of the
was like,
episode.
yeah, fully agree with you. I had that same question lingering.
Which, okay, we really should stop this. But did you see the Devin Lumen theory, like Lumen employee theory, circling around?
No, I did not, and thank God I did not. But you got to tell me anyway.
So it's just an idea. They're like, oh, Devin's a Lumen employee because she wears blue a lot, and they said they saw Devin's name like when they did the OTC as an employee, and that it's listed on like Bert's list or Irving's list, but it's not true because the name says Devin F, and if her maiden name and her married name doesn't start with F.
Yeah, Scout is her maiden name. What's her married
Uh
name?
huh.
Rickon.
Hale.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no. And no, I don't even think that's what they've been selling us in regards to her character. And yeah, I would hate that turn if that was a thing that they decided to reveal.
Same. And it's making me feel better about thinking other people's theories are stupid. So
I agreed. I have landed like solidly on other people's theories are stupid.
mm-hmm. Did you have anything else kind of about these two scenes that we have setting up the episode?
No, it was, set up the scene, and then the Devin phone call made me question the timeline, just like you. But
Mm-hmm.
no, everything you
Oh,
saw and thought of, same.
perfect. So then we see a small sleepy cafe where there are two older folks eating. The man who is refilling the coffee gives the old man a jar of ether on the house. So they're
Mm-hmm.
setting up this idea, or not idea, but that this town, it has been kind of riddled with this ether problem, kind of like how we have the current opioid crisis.
Yeah, that's exactly how I viewed it.
And then Miss Cobell pulls up and enters the cafe. The man who's working there recognizes her, but does not seem thrilled to see her.
No, there's an intense stare down between them.
It's multiple times throughout the episode.
Yeah.
Did we ever get his name?
No, we did not.
Okay. I didn't think so either. They have a little curt exchange, and she tells them that she needs a favor and to meet him at the factory. And
Yeah.
he doesn't really look like he wants to do it, but he tells the other lady working there, like, close up, and he goes to meet her at the factory.
Yeah.
As he's driving there, this is when we get kind of confirmation that this is an old Lumon town. You will see the Lumon logo on some of the buildings, and then when he
Yeah.
pulls up to the factory, there's the big Lumon sign.
Yeah. Agreed. I also loved that shot. I don't know. It was so simple with the two cars in the factory, but it was, yeah, loved it.
Well, and it too, like, they kind of have this little standoff, right, when he pulls up, and I think it really emphasized them kind of being resistant of the whole
Yes.
situation.
Yes, exactly. I feel like the camera work in this episode did a lot of the storytelling.
Mm-hmm. So she asks him to drive her to Sissy's because if they are watching, they will recognize her car. And he tells her that that she still lives out by the 9. So I want to know who they are. I'm assuming Lumon, right?
That's what I assumed.
And then by the 9, that made me think of the 9 pillars because
Yes.
we kind of talked about that last episode.
Yeah.
But outside of that, I'm like, what does that even mean?
I was asking that a lot of times throughout this episode. What does that even mean?
Yeah.
Thank God for Google.
He does not want to help her, and Miss
Mm-hmm.
Cobell says that they were once chums.
Yes.
Do you remember in 30 Rock when Liz is dating Wesley and he talks, I guess in this scenario they call friends chums. He's like, chums.
Yes, because when I heard this, I was like, oh, you were once. Actually, I thought not friends, but I thought at first I thought sibling, like closer than
Mm-hmm.
friends. Does that make sense? Because of 30 Rock.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then she's like, and so we need to help each other out because we used to work together. And he was like, no, that was called child labor. That wasn't
Yeah.
working together.
Yeah. And I loved that line too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He has some pretty good zingers. He doesn't say much this episode, but
He does not. And we don't even know his name.
mm-mm. I don't think we'll see him again. Do you?
I hate this show. Let's move on. I don't know.
He does decide to help her and drive her up to Sissy's, and he does this by hiding her in his truck bed, and he does not try and avoid any of the potholes along the way. She
No,
is just in that
very.
back.
Yeah, go. It's very petty, but you know what? I respect it. It's a good way to get back at somebody, but very not passive aggressively, but sort of.
Mm-hmm. And then, so while she's back there, her phone rings again, and it's Devin. So when she got the second call by Devin, I kind of was assuming it wasn't happening at the same time that this was taking place after, but I wasn't 100% sure.
Yeah. Same here. I was like, okay, she's calling again. Something's happening either that we didn't cover last episode or beyond last episode, like during the now.
They arrive to a seaside house. It looks in better shape, at least from the outside, than the rest of the town. And it's Sissy's house. Miss Cobell goes to enter the house or knock on the door, and he tells her to tell Sissy to drop dead for him. So obviously he doesn't like her.
Mm-mm.
And it doesn't seem like anybody likes her. I think he calls her a pariah of the town. So I wonder what Sissy did, because we learned that she's pretty committed to Lumon and Kier.
Yeah. And I don't think the rest of the town is, because they kind of destroyed the town, right? So that's probably why she's like a social pariah. That's what I assumed.
Yeah, I think you're right.
She also gave me nun vibes. I don't know why. And nuns like have always scared the shit out of me, so it was great casting.
Sissy answers the door and tells Miss Cobell that she's not welcome here, which Miss Cobell does not care about, because she just barges in, goes upstairs, and finds her old childhood bedroom is empty.
Yeah.
And she goes to head back downstairs, and as she's passing to go downstairs, there's a plaque that says Lumon Ether Quarterly. I had a couple other lines, and then it says Celestine Sissy Cobell.
Celestine. I think that's how you say it.
Celestine. So we know that she's at least related to Miss Cobell.
Yeah. Sister. That's what I assumed, right?
Well,
Maybe aunt.
So in one of the last scenes, that's where I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah. Okay, we'll get back to it.
I did. Okay, so I didn't know how to pronounce that name, right?
Yeah.
Do you ever get your name mispronounced?
My last. Yeah.
Or
My
do
first
people
name.
call you like, yeah?
Aileen, or I don't know. They add a letter or they just mispronounce it or something. Yeah. You?
Yeah. Yeah, people in the South will pronounce my name with a T. They'll say Chelsea.
That's awful.
It is. And then
Oh, that's so unfortunate.
they also will say my name Chelsea.
Really? People in the
Yeah,
South
and
still?
I just
Or
in
that's just
general.
everybody? Okay.
Yeah. I'm like, that's not, I don't have a weird spelling of my name.
No, it's the basic spelling of Chelsea.
Yeah. It's
That's
she's
funny.
like, okay. So before Miss Cobell heads downstairs, she does check another room, but the door's locked. And then when she gets back downstairs, she asks Sissy, she's like, has anybody come by or called? And she says, oh yeah, a Mr. Drummond. So we know that they're on to Miss Cobell, or, trying to look for her or something of the sort.
Yeah.
Miss Cobell asks for the key to Mother's room. So they do both refer to her as Mother.
Yes.
So again, assuming at this point that they're sisters, but we'll get there.
Yeah.
Sissy says that it's locked until they're all dead, more or less. I'm paraphrasing what she said, but I guess there's some weird
until all who okay. Yeah, I get you.
all who love her have passed. I guess it's some weird Kier rule, or
Yeah. Yes. Fucking care.
I also hate the name Sissy, if I'm honest.
I do too. Okay, I'm so glad she brought it up, because I was like, this is terrible. They couldn't come up with any other name or nickname. I hated it.
They could, like, Cece would have been better.
Yeah. Sissy there's too many, what's it called, like, definitions for it in the streets, let's say. And I don't like it. Yeah.
Yeah. Miss Cobell tells Sissy that she wants a key to the room, and she wants to know what Mother's last words after she pulled the tube out of her gullet. So we get the understanding that Miss Cobell is not thrilled and blames Sissy, I guess, for her mother's death or their mother's death.
Yes. 100%.
Uh, and so she didn't agree with that decision. So you remember in the Penguin at the end?
Yeah. Yeah.
How do you
Yeah.
feel about that situation?
What do they call it? Like assist. What do they call it when you try to like you help someone kill themselves?
If you help them kill themselves, assisted suicide. If you take out their breathing tube, that's just pulling the plug.
That's just murder. How do I feel
it's not.
about?
It's not murder, but it's like as a person, if you were in charge of making that decision for somebody else because they can't make it for themselves.
Yeah. I in the Penguin, I hated that. Well, I don't want to like spoil it for people, but also watch the freaking show, you guys. It's worth it, and the Emmys are coming up, and you'd want to see everyone get the awards they deserve from that show. And I don't like what the Penguin did at the end. I believe if someone is in pain and they don't want to be here anymore, they deserve to not be here anymore. Yeah. What about you?
Yeah, I 100% believe that. I do understand how that is a hard decision because
Yes.
if they're there and even though they're not responding, you're not talking like having conversations, if they're breathing and they look somewhat okay, that is a decision that's very very hard to make.
Yeah.
But I think if that's the person's will and if it's if they don't have a good quality of life, then you're not it's actually kind of mean at that point.
Yeah, I agree. There's actually a TV show. I want to say it was on Prime or Showtime, and it was about a lady who went around like helping people kill them, and then she was getting like caught. It's a really good TV show. When I think of the name, I'm gonna let everybody know. But it was solid. It kept me on my toes.
I 100% believe in assisted suicide. I do think that that should be legal, and I think
Yeah.
that that should be something that's more prevalent for people that are in those kind of states or who are diagnosed with a terminal disease and they go kind of have a pre-planned once I hit these markers,
Yes. I
that kind of
agree.
thing.
Yeah. And it's not like, so whatever. Like, obviously, you can take like a psych exam and someone, makes sure you are in the right headspace to make those decisions or whatever. But I do think it should be more of an option for people. I feel like
Hmm.
it is in Canada, right? Because I hear
I think
people go up there
I,
to do that.
there, and I think like in Oregon maybe or
Yeah.
Washington,
Yeah, one of
it's
them.
a couple of random states.
Yeah.
Sissy slaps her in response to that statement because that was mean.
Yeah. Can I also say that was the most, like movie editing slaps and it's like sound that gets edited on? That was so prevalent in this scene. I was like, oh, that was so fake. I'm sorry. It was so bad. I hated it. I hated it for me. But yeah.
It was thankfully it was kind of short. So
Yeah.
Sissy tells her that she was grateful to be relieved of her pain, which again we kind of talked about, and I understand that.
Yeah.
And we find out too in this scene that their mother, our mother was not a believer because Sissy says that she did not find solace in the nine.
Yes. And this one is definitely about the 9 like pillars, the core values of Lumen, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I
Okay.
thought that was interesting though that she wasn't a believer, but then like Sissy is, and Miss Cobell very much was part of it, and it seemed like the guy who's helping her out was a part of it as well, at least when he was a child.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, kind of what her role was within that.
Like what their mothers was, or the sister aunt lady slapping her.
I guess I guess the mothers.
Yeah, I agree. I wonder why she wasn't a believer. Yeah, she
Hmm.
had. I would want to. She had young people under her care, or she had her daughter under her care who was forced to be a part of it. Maybe that's why. I don't know. We got a lot of context about Miss Cobell, but there's always more.
Yeah. Now we have not a lot of context for the people around her,
Yeah.
or
Yeah,
not enough, at least for my personal preference.
I agree.
Sissy, I think, kind of to defend herself, tells Miss Cobell that she didn't have to listen to her suffering every day because Miss Cobell was off at school, and that was because James Egan saw cure in her. So he was
Yeah.
like, and she was part of the Wintertide Fellowship, which is the one that Miss Wong is
A part of.
trying to become part of.
Yeah. In this scene, I wrote, wow, everything really does stem back to childhood trauma.
Mm, yeah.
Yeah. It made me sympathize with Miss Cobell a lot more.
Yes. Yeah. It definitely makes her a little bit more, I guess, human.
Human? Yeah, human, yeah. It's not a bad thing.
No, definitely not. Let's see. Sissy calls her a disappointment, which is also mean. They're just kind of
She
roasting
was
each
not a
other in
pleasant, she's
this.
not a pleasant character. Yeah, she was a lot, but yeah, she was just a lot. I guess she was necessary though for the storyline, but yeah.
Did you see in this scene at the end, kind of with their little back and forth, Sissy was holding this weird rock that looked like it had Kier's face drawn on it or something?
I couldn't tell if that's what it is because that's when she goes up to the room after, right? Miss Cobell.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't tell if that's what she was holding or yeah, I knew it was like uh what's it called? Not a stuffy, but like something personal to her. But I thought it
Mm-hmm.
was just like a rock, but it had like a face on it. Is that
Yeah,
what
it
it
had some
was?
kind of face drawn on it.
Okay, it's very bizarre.
Yeah, I know. But they showed it too, so I was like, this has to mean something, but what does it mean?
Well, I don't know. I think this episode they did show a lot of just a lot of little like when Miss Cobell first went up to her room, and then we see that kind of like I want to say a Muppet kind of stuffy, and then I guess though it all added context as to what we are putting together in these scenes, right? So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, yeah. What would that rock mean? I don't know.
Maybe we'll see it again.
Yeah, God, I hope we don't see Sissy again.
Yeah. Miss Cobell goes on a frenzy looking for the key for the mother's room in Sissy's room. There's a bunch of stuff online that people saw and pointed out, which is great. I think, again, kind of like you're saying, it's all for context. It's all to add to the lore of Kier
Yes, yeah.
and all that. Now, the one thing that I really did notice, and I kind of want to take a brief second to talk about, although I
Mhm.
think I already know where it's going to lead. There are those four creepy figures from Dylan's Waffle Party, right? That are like paper
Yeah,
mache. They have the bride, the goat, Joker, and I think that one's like an old lady or something.
yeah.
What is up with those things?
I don't know. I don't know. It was beyond me. And though this time, I feel like they lingered on it a second longer
Mm-hmm.
than other things, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like they're whatever they are, it's more getting more and more significant to the story. Maybe we'll find out.
But then it just reminded me of Dylan's Waffle Party, and I hated that scene so much.
I agree with you.
I just
Me
and
too.
and we've never really talked about it again. Like
No, we haven't.
the show hasn't brought it up.
No. But I mean, that's what they've been doing. Even like, because the last time we saw Miss Cobell, she was driving, and then we saw the sign saying like whatever miles to Salt Neck, right? And then what 4 episodes later, we're at Salt Neck now or whatever. So I don't know. I think they will bring it up. I do.
We'll find out.
And then also like, why does Sissy have? I don't know. I don't know. Her little shrine. Her
Yeah.
little. Yeah, it was weird.
uh, Miss Cobell does find the key and she yells to Sissy, like, I found it. But the way she yelled it was very off-putting to me in that it was like really aggressive, but it also was like very almost afraid, or I don't know. The way that she yelled it just really stood out to me.
I feel like, and I've seen mention of this, Patricia Arquette did a great job of, when you go back to your hometown or your parents' house and Patricia did a great job of acting like a child again in this episode, in terms of coming back to the place where she was a child and a lot happened and trauma happened. And she wasn't the Miss Cobell that we know, right? It was a great shift of, oh, this was a part, like, this was a different part of you, and you can't be small, or you can't be intimidated, or you can't be childish or childlike. And yeah, I thought it was greatly acted, and when, like, that kind of calling out scene, stuff like that was acted brilliantly in my mind, or in my view.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And is it yeah, what you're saying, a stark contrast to the Miss Cobell that we've seen. And
Yeah.
actually, when I was like taking notes, when that kind of, and it was a little subconscious, when I saw that shift, I started writing down Harmony instead of Miss Cobell. I guess it's because what Sissy was calling her, but she
Yeah.
definitely like, and I think that's the guy called her that maybe.
Yeah.
And we see the
I
name in the house.
Yes. Yeah. That's so true. Yeah. I like that, actually, because also when I was writing down my notes, I was writing Miss Cobell, but I was like, this isn't Miss Cobell. I wish I could come up with another
Hmm.
name for her. But yeah, I agree.
So Miss Cobell's able to enter her mom's room. We do know it's her mother for sure, at least.
Yeah.
Well, actually, no, I guess we don't really know that. Um,
Don't let them do this to you, Chelsea. Yes, it
I
is
can't.
her mother.
Sure. There's a hospital bed in there, and it
Mm-hmm.
looks like nobody's been in there for years. There's moth holes in the sweaters. There's a lot of dust on everything.
Yeah. Surprised she even got on that bed.
She does well. Are you after what she does? And I don't want to make light of the suffering, because I think when people are suffering and they're processing grief, they do things that are a little absurd, but that comfort them. And I guess Miss Cobell in this situation, she pulls out that breathing tube she's had with her. She connects it up to the old breathing machine and just starts crying with it in her mouth.
Yeah. I'm sorry, because it's funny, because you were generally being so sincere about, how people grieve, and but also, that shit was crazy. That was wild. I was like, ugh, what is happening? This is really gross. But yeah, I guess she was a child when she lost her mother, and she was also taken away. So I can't even. Yeah, you're right. The seriousness of what you were saying was valid, and I need to be more serious. I'm sorry.
Uh, no, because I was very disturbed by her
Yes.
actions, but then I wanted to be very empathetic to it at the same time. But the first reaction was very visceral, like, ugh.
Yes. Yeah, me too. Now I gotta think a question. The breathing tube stuff. Is it because of the fact, like, the damage the factory left? Because doesn't Miss Cobell talk to that guy about his lungs or something like that before? So are we to assume that everyone in that town has, like, lung issues?
I didn't even think about that, but yes, I think that that's probably exactly why.
Okay. Okay. Better.
There was an amazing transition too, because she's got that tube in her mouth, she's crying and she's like wailing as she's like trying to breathe in through it or breathe whatever it is, and
Yeah.
we get another shot of the frozen ocean, and the Miss Cobell's cries slowly transition into whale noises.
Yeah, or like ocean noises. Yeah. That was incredible. I was like it, even if you're not paying attention, because, you go in and out of watching, like, paying attention when we're watching something. I think because my reaction to the breathing tube thing was so visceral and I hated it, I wanted to like I was starting to just to save myself, kind of disassociate from what was I was actually watching. But then with the wailing and then that scene shift, it brought me back, and I was like, oh wow, this is incredible. Yeah,
Mm-hmm. I thought the exact same thing. In the next frames, we have her still in the bed, and it does a time lapse. So we see the sun starts going down, and then it gets dark, and she is asleep in the bed. So I guess she's fallen asleep, crying.
yeah,
And the man that drove her up there comes up to get her because he's like, it's getting cold out in the car.
yeah,
And she says she has to find it, and we don't know what it is. He doesn't know what it is,
yeah,
but it's obviously she's there looking for something that she hasn't found yet. He tells her that he really liked her, referring to her mom, which she says, you didn't even know her. And he said, she hated Lumen even more than I did, and that was enough. So the loathe for Lumen is strong.
yes. And you know what they say, you might not know somebody, but what you, like what hate bonds two people or something like that. So
Mm-hmm.
can maybe
Nothing
apply.
bonds two people stronger than their mutual hate for something.
Yeah. So I got it.
They exchange these sweeter glances, kind of these little soft flirty eyes, and then they get high together. He's like, you wanna huff some ether? And she's like, sure.
Again, yeah. And again, not Miss Cobell. Like at first I was like, oh, she's gonna like walk out of there or like, you know what I mean? Do something that kind of just pulls herself together and is unpenetrable again. But we were not dealing with Miss Cobell in this scene and most of the episode, I feel like.
Yeah, and she even said that, well, two things on that. She said that she hadn't done that since she was 8. So
Yeah.
obviously it's something that she has done before, but removed herself from. And she's been very critical of the guy for selling ether and for doing it. Like she keeps calling him out, like, you're high right now. You smell like it.
Yeah. Yeah, she does.
In their ether super, they kiss. And
Super. Yeah.
I'm confused on their relationship because to me, they felt like relatives.
I agree.
So, but I'm thinking here's why they could be both.
Oh
They could
God.
be some form of relative and childhood sweethearts.
Okay, let's go. How?
I mean, I'm just well
Uh,
because he could be like her second cousin. It could be like Sissy's son, and they could have had a little childhood fling.
crush. God, that's like there's so much happening in this show. I feel like was it like light incest or whatever you want to call it is pushing me to the edge. But I also think that I don't think Miss Cobell was ever brought to us as I want to say sexy character or whatever, or sexual. Maybe that's a better word for it. Sexual character. So I think my hesitation of being like, oh, my Im- immediate reaction of thinking they were more siblings or had that sort of relationship was because I just we never got that from her, right? So it's like, oh, if this is a love interest, I don't know. Like you really have to sell me on it, kind of thing. And I even with the kiss, I was not sold on it. But okay, yeah,
Yeah, and I don't think it's that important except to emphasize probably like her childlike behavior, like re- reverting back or like going back to what she was like at that age.
yeah, with this guy. So you think they were childhood
Hmm.
sweethearts?
At the very least.
Yeah, I agree. But I definitely think he had the hots for her more than she had the hots for
Oh, probably. She was probably no nonsense even at 8.
him. I agree.
Oh, Miss Cobell decides that she's like she couldn't have gotten rid of again it. So she goes out to the outdoor cellar to go find it.
Yeah.
And again, there's a lot of things people pointed out and saw in this. The only thing that I wrote down is she picks up this annual reminiscence book, and I'm like, just call it a yearbook.
Listen, they were doing a lot with language on this show. Again, that is why I was Googling everything, because why are you not talking normally?
Well, and there was, and I forgot to write it down, so I didn't bring it up. When Miss Cobell goes into the cafe originally, and she's talking to that guy, he is talking like a normal person would talk, and
Mm-hmm.
then she says something about how the town is older than it was, and he then starts kind of talking like Lumon people talk for like two sentences,
Yeah, I did
and then
notice that.
stops.
Yeah, I noticed that too. I definitely think it's a Kier thing or a Lehman thing.
Mm-hmm. Well, also another, I didn't see this even when I went back and rewatched it, but there was something people noticed that I guess in that annual reminiscence book, there we see definitely a page for Miss Cobell, and people paused it and read it, and it said something about um, mammalian nurturing or whatever, something referring to the goats,
Okay,
which
okay.
was interesting. Yeah,
Yeah, I didn't
didn't
notice
answer
that.
anything, but it pieced some stuff together at least.
Yeah, why we keep going back to the goats.
She picks up her water tide or winter tide award, and that is what it has, the notebook in it, which is it. That's what she's been looking for.
Yes.
And she goes back inside to tell Sissy that she's leaving, and then gives Sissy a lecture on how Lumen is not great like they once thought, and how she's not loyal to them anymore because, and I wrote actually partly because this cannot be the whole reason, um, because they stole her invention. So the notebook has the idea, the drawings, the layout for Severance.
Yes. Which big reveal.
So, do you believe that though?
I do. You don't?
They didn't sell me on it very well.
Okay. I can see that. I can see that. I would argue.
I, yes, argue.
I would argue. I feel like the Winter Tide Fellowship or whatever a was a place where they stole people's ideas. That's what I felt like that was. But anyways,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay. I mean, I definitely think she was involved in it, obviously, and it's something that's very important to her because she's always kept advocating for being part of the severed floor.
yes,
And her reasoning makes sense as to why she hadn't come forward yet, because she was told what all knowledge is for all of Kier, or
yeah. Not Kira's knowledge is
some.
for all, and if she sought credit,
Mhm.
she would be banished. Yeah,
Right. But there's just something about it that didn't sell me. I don't know what it is. I just had a little bit of a doubt, like, was it just her? And if so, I don't know. It just, and obviously that couldn't be the only reason that she left, because that's been a thing for a very long time.
yeah, yeah. But then they made her a part of it for a very long time, right? So it's like you convince somebody like you have to share this knowledge or you can't claim it as just yours. It's for a bigger purpose, but we'll still make you play a role. But now that she's not playing a role, that's maybe why she's so, wait, hold up. This shit was all my idea in the first place. And also, what they were making us believe it was James Egan's idea, right?
Hmm.
I mean, why were we so quick to believe one man could come up with all of it, but not her? Not to be
It's
all
not. It's
girl
just,
boss, but you know what I mean?
for me. It just was the her leading up to it. Yeah, she was wanted to be involved in it, but her we've just had no other sign up until this point that she knew more than anybody else on the severed floor.
I agree. The storytelling leading up to it was very weak. I agree with that.
That's why. So I was like, I looking back, I just don't see enough signs to think, oh, she's the one that invented it. she obviously knew everything in and out. There was no doubt about that part. But
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, I get you. I agree with that. I wonder if she, I don't know. I was like trying to think. I wonder if she had more interaction with James Egan than like when she was younger than we have
oh,
or will see or have seen. Does that make sense? Like,
I bet so.
yeah. And maybe it was. Maybe it wasn't him and maybe it wasn't her, but it was truly just a joint collaboration.
Mm-hmm. When Miss Cobell goes in to tell Sissy she's leaving and tells her the news, like, I invented this, Sissy tries to grab the notebook and throw it into the fire, which she does not do. It looks like she does, but she walks out with the notebook.
Doesn't Harmony Cobell like fight her on it though?
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yeah.
she intended to throw it into the fire. Sissy did.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
There's a little tussle, but
Yeah.
Miss Cobell wins. Sissy did not
Yeah.
put up a very big fight, honestly.
No, I mean she is the older one.
Well, okay, so this is where in this scene too, Miss Cobell is like leaving, and she, after that whole little tussle, and tells Sissy, "I hope you die a painful death like she did," referring to Mother. And Sissy tells her that it was her mother that actually ripped out the tube, and because she wanted relief. Miss Cobell doesn't believe that. But in this exchange, Sissy says that your mother was a coward.
Yeah.
So that's where I was like, is it those situations where like with our dogs, if they do something that I don't like, I'll tell Drake, I'd be like, go get your daughter. Look what your daughter did to like distance yourself. Or is it because it's her? I don't know.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. That is also why it confused me. Also, I felt like she was older. Like I can see her being more of an aunt than a sister just because of their age gap seemed very gappy. So I agree with you, but it could go either way. They didn't give us much.
No, and I guess it doesn't really matter. Obviously, we just know that they're related. They spent time together in this house. They grew up together in some form or fashion. And Sissy took care of the mom when Miss Cobell was gone.
Yeah.
And I think those are the main things that we're supposed to pick up
Get
from
from
it.
it. Yeah.
The dude honks his horn and yells that somebody's coming, and he just gives her his car as the
Yeah.
Lumon people are driving up. I thought that was a little weird.
Well, yeah, I agree. But that's also why I was like, I think he liked her way more than she liked him. And
He was
he's
like
sad to his
willing to sacrifice himself.
Yeah. Doesn't he say like a
He
corny line or something at the end?
I wrote delivered this action movie one liner. Come tame these tempers.
Yeah. God. They're really doing any fucking thing this season, but okay.
That makes me want to make a fake Severance like movie poster, and that be the tagline.
Yes, I like that. That would be really cool. I like that a lot actually. I'd buy it. Or even a shirt. I'd buy a shirt with it.
I'll,
Come take these tempers. Because it
I'll
does sound sexual.
I didn't think it sounded sexual, but okay, sure. That was a good line, though. Miss Cobell is driving away in her new getaway car. Her phone rings again, and it is Devin again. This time she answers, and this is where we definitely get a feel for what's been happening, or that this happened after you reintegrated, because Devin explains what's been going on with Mark, and then Miss Cobell gets on the phone with Mark.
Yeah, that whole scene, that's weak storytelling. Because I was like, how did we get here? I
They
know.
better, like, they're going to explain it next episode, right?
I hope so. Because all of a sudden we trust Miss Cobell and all this. Like, Devin, out of everybody, is calling her up. And then Mark gets on the phone with her, reintegrate. And the first thing Devin says is, Mark's reintegrate? Please. Like, you're not even going to test. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, and Cobell says something like, "Oh, was it Ragabi?"
Regard.
So
Yes.
Cobell does not like Ragabi. We've kind of known that since season 1, and I want to know what happened between the two of them.
Yeah, same here. I can see Ragabi not being the good person that we have been made. I feel like that could be more of a likely twist.
I've definitely questioned her intent. It doesn't seem as pure as one would hope.
Yeah, which sucks, but it's okay. We'll see what is to be revealed about her.
If anything, this season. Then the other thing is that Devin says something about Mark reintegrating, but it doesn't seem like he's fully reintegrated because she says something, we want to try something else.
Yeah, yeah. Which did you have any inkling as to what they might have been talking about?
Like what else they want to try?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if they're contacting Miss Cobell, it could be for her to tell them who he works with, like his coworkers, people that they can contact outside of work.
Yeah. But if he's
Or
reintegrated, he knows who his coworkers are, no?
well, that's what I'm saying. I don't think he's fully reintegrated, and that's why they want to. They're getting Miss Cobell to help so they can like either finish the process or try something else to get
Okay.
Miss Casey out.
Okay. I got you. Yeah, maybe.
The outro music though definitely was like Miss Cobell is on a mission.
Yeah.
She's speeding down that highway to get back to Mark.
Yeah, God, they put Patricia Arquette in cars zooming about this season.
I the the summary that I'm going to do for this episode, I was working out earlier. It says, "Rev that engine and let's take a ride in your Volkswagen Golf MK1," which is what she drives.
I like that.
I
Um,
didn't I didn't know that, but so I had to Google it. But
of what she's driving.
mm-hmm.
That's funny. I like that. But yeah, a lot of car scenes for her.
What else did you get from this episode? It was definitely kind of not a filler episode. It was what'd you call it?
Like a context episode. Yeah, I think we needed more information about things, and I think it carries the storyline ahead. I feel like
Mm-hmm.
filler for me, when I think of filler episodes, I think of like when we have like the what's called like network TV shows with the 24 episode orders, and then we had like a musical episode. That to me is a filler episode, or like something dumb, or like a Christmas episode, like a holiday episode. That's a filler episode where it's like you're not gaining any story and you're not losing anything either. But I do think we have gained something from this episode.
What do you think that we've gained from this episode?
Just maybe I do think that we're trying to make us sympathize with Miss Cobell and maybe make us believe that she could be on Mark's side, like on a non-Lumen side, because from all we've seen so far, it's been Lumen, Lumen, Lumen. But I think they've given us context as to where she came from and what Lumen did to her and why she may betray them now, right? Because they stole her idea and they don't want to give her any credit or give her what she's asking for to if she were to come back. So yeah, I think it's more so like if we see her turn to another team, it's more believable. I don't know if I'll believe it, but it could be more believable. I mean, it definitely would be more believable with this episode.
Yeah, because imagine had they did something else for this episode. I don't know what it was, and then the next episode, Mark and Miss Cobell are teaming up together. We'd be like, we don't trust this bitch. Like, what are you talking
Right.
about?
Right. Like, where did this even come from? Even with that final phone call, as we talked about, like, I was also still like, huh? But okay, I'll roll with it because she seems like she's on a vengeance type of deal now or something. So, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any predictions for the rest of the season? We got 2 episodes left. I think one is over an hour long. I think the last one is.
Yeah, I saw that, like 72 minutes long, which is amazing for all of us. What's that? Like just over an hour. I have no predictions. I do think we will get answers. I know you're very skeptical about that, but I do think my mind will be at ease. What about you?
Completely at ease?
Not completely at ease. Like I think I think a good TV show has to leave you wanting to come back for the next season with a what's gonna happen. But yeah, like a okay, I'm satisfied with what they at least told us in this ending.
Yes. Yeah, I think so too. And I think the big thing that I mean, we kind of knew this from the beginning. The intro does tell us a lot. We just have no context for it. And I
Yeah,
think the other big thing that I believe from watching the intro is that Helly or Helena is going to go down to the testing floor.
yeah. Which I've also been seeing that. Okay, I'm gonna let you guys have it. I just
But
think it's weird, but I guess I'll believe it.
I have no outside of her going down there, I don't know why or the context of it. That part I'm not sure. I
Yeah,
can see because they've before we did last episode, we had no idea what the testing floor was or what was going on. So now that we've seen that, I'm like, okay, I can see a situation in which because they're not going to just send her down there and we've never seen the testing floor before.
yeah, that's true.
So now that we kind of have a feeling of what it is, I can see them at some point sending her down there. Do we see what happens? It could be how the season ends. I don't know, but I think we'll see that happen to some extent.
Yeah. My only thing with the testing floor theory is when we have seen it with shoot, what's her Gemma? It was Mark's Gemma. It wasn't like any Gemma down there. So when people are saying Helly's going down to the testing floor, what they're really saying is Helena's going down to the testing floor, right? And I don't. Yeah, I wonder how that. Who's gonna say? Who gives a shit about her enough to save her from there? Will she, I just don't know. I don't know. Or maybe it will be Helly down there, but I just don't. That defeats the purpose of what we've been told the testing floor is.
The only, I mean, I could see her going down there to help save Miss Casey because, if you think about Helly, ours life has only been about 12 hours. Probably no, I mean, longer than that. But I mean, all she's really known is micro data refinement, trying to kill herself, drowning, and trying to find Miss Casey, right? So I think she's going to want to finish that mission. And I think she might go down there not knowing what it is.
But then when she gets down there, do you think she's gonna be Helly or Helena?
Helly, I
So the
guess.
switch doesn't happen when she goes down the elevator.
Oh, well,
That's what I'm saying. Like, cause that's what we saw happen to Gemma.
I see. I see what you're saying. I don't know. Because, yeah, I don't know.
Oh no. Also, do you think Gemma's getting saved this season? Do you think she's getting out of the testing floor?
No, if she does, or if there is some kind of looks like there's going to be end of her being on the testing floor, I think that's how the season's going to end.
Yeah,
So maybe
yeah,
she gets in the elevator and she actually gets out of even the severed floor elevator.
yeah,
I don't think we're getting anything beyond that.
yeah. I can see that. I can see them pull that kind of shit. That's gonna make me so mad. But I can see that.
Mhm.
And like
Yeah,
Mark's like
that's
on the opposite side, and they're like fine, like recognizing each other. Yeah, I can see
hmm
that. That
hmm
would be epic. Oh, my heart. God no.
or okay. This is what this is what I'm projecting because it came into my head.
Okay.
Um, that Helly is going to go down to the testing floor by
Mm-hmm.
herself, and
Mm-hmm.
then Mark's going to find that out. Severed or reintegrated Mark, I don't know. He's going to
Mm-hmm.
find that out at the. This is how the season's going to end. The severed floor or the testing elevator comes up, and he's looking at it, and he doesn't know if it's going to be Gemma or Helly. And then we just get a shot of his face being like, oh my gosh, and we're going to question who came back.
And are you getting this from the title sequence?
I don't know. I'm just making it up.
But isn't in the title sequence like an elevator shot of either of those two?
Well, you remember it's they're in the
They
title
flip it.
sequence when the elevator, it's both of them and they flash back and forth.
Yeah.
So that's
Okay.
why.
I can see that. I can see that. It won't pull on my heartstrings as much as I would like, but I would accept it.
It would leave a lot to happen because, again, if we don't know who comes up, that then dictates, how
I
the
just
next
need them
season
to
goes.
reveal who comes up, or maybe they both come up. I need a reveal of somebody coming up. I would love that. I need that at this point.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll make sure
Yeah.
they do that. I don't.
Dear Ben and we need, even though this has been shot and edited.
Yes, you can edit anything to make it what you want.
True. Post production, yeah, true.
We got 2 episodes left. I'm super excited. I'm nervous. I'm scared. I don't know what's coming, but I'm excited to see where it leads us at the very least.
I am too. I also didn't watch this episode until yesterday. I want that to be now. I don't know. I was just like leaving it hang. I was leaving it. I was letting it be. I was seeing all the discourse, and I was like, all right, I think I'm ready for this one.
I watched it just so it wasn't spoiled for me. I just was like, I need to get the first watch out of the way.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah, I get that. Sorry, what were you gonna say?
Okay, so I sent you this screenshot that I took. I guess I saw it on TikTok that said that episode 9 of Severance has the same title as the Twilight Zone episode where the mannequin is on vacation and forgets that she's a mannequin.
Yes.
I guess I don't even see what the title is called.
Let's
But
see.
I'm curious about that or excited about it just because we were also talking about Twilight Zone.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna watch the Twilight or rewatch, I guess, the Twilight Zone episode after next week's episode because I don't want to spoil anything for
Did
myself.
they? Oh, were you trying to look up the Twilight Zone episode name, or were you trying to look up what the next episode name is? Like Severance episode name.
Well, they're
They're
supposed
the
to be the
same.
same.
Okay. I'm gonna look it up. I'll watch it before, and then you can watch it after, and then we can talk
Okay.
about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Because
I definitely think it has to mean something, and I'm sure there's some parallels in the episode. So I'm curious about that. I feel like that's
me
interesting.
too. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, this season has really gotten Twilight Zone-ish, and it's taken me through a loop. But we're still here. I actually might watch the whole of Twilight Zone.
You should spend some time visiting it.
I will.
I'm excited or I'm ready to get back to the core characters though. I love the background. I think it's really helped shape the season and the whole series, but I'm ready for the dynamic between those characters.
I
See that again.
agree. I agree. I hope we get. Oh, I don't know how much we're gonna get until now in the end of the season. I don't think it'll be enough for my heart's content. So I'm just hoping season 3 is a lot more team playing. Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah. Because that's what's so good about the show is the chemistry between the characters.
Yeah, I agree. Gosh, yeah, I agree. Sorry, now I'm thinking about where we left off with Dylan and Irving, and I'm like, wait, we still have so many questions needing to be answered. But that's okay.
Yeah. Yep. Well, I guess then that's the end of this week's SRE. Until next week.
Until next week. See you guys.
Bye.
Bye.